Check, check. 1, 2, 3. Check.
Here we are again, bro. Just you and me. Same kind of moon, same kind of jungle. We on number 10 night, remember? Whole platoon, 32 men chopped into meat. We walk out, just you and me. Nobody else. Right on top of. Not a scratch, not a fucking scratch. You know whoever got you. He'll come back again, and when he does, I'm gonna cut your name right into. I'm gonna cut your name into.
Let's go.
Hello! Lucas Drummer, broadcasting live from Black Note Studio, Halden, Norway. Welcome. Nice to see you here. So, Axis pedals, Axis percussion, the best manufacturer of drum hardware pedals in the world. No doubt about that. If you're an Axis user, this video is gonna help you a lot with different things. Not only this video, but a series of videos I'm planning on to uploading. But today, let's get straight down to it. I have a pair of my custom shortboards, which I would like to convert into longboards. I own two pairs of Axis pedals at the moment. So this pair is the one I'm using in my studio right now. But normally I play longboards. And after the last tour, my longboard pedals they have been taken with the remaining members of the band to the headquarters abroad, so I do not have a chance to play on them. They are waiting for the next show so I can pick them back home. But in the meantime, because these pedals have a totally different feeling, you know, the length of the footboard has a lot to say. There's like extra 2 inches of the footboard length on the longboards, which I'm sometimes missing. I feel like the longboard gives me more room to play. But before I convert those into the longboards, I would like to tell you a little bit about this particular pedal. I've been lucky enough to be endorsed by the previous and original owners of Axis Percussion, by Karen to be precise. And yeah, this pedal has been doing its job very well within all the years I've owned it. I got it since 2016, and I'm very happy about how it worked. No issues at all throughout all the years. Everything feels solid and yeah, as good as new actually. It's just a little bit dusty. A couple of scratches here and there, but still when it comes to functionality, speed and all in all, like totally the condition of the pedal, I would call it a mint condition. So this is an A series pedal with X series shortboard. It has the micro tuner mounted on. This is the spring tension I've been using. It's a heavy duty spring. EKIT trigger, of course. The trigger box. Le detonateur, which has a little hack on it, and the hack is, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit of isolation tape around the hammer spring here. I'll show you to another camera so that you can see it clearly. not, then I'm sorry. Anyway, I love this pedal. Perfect for fast music. The angles and everything is like super precise. I've adjusted everything to my liking, and as I said, never had any issue with it. I've been using it as double pedal, as single pedals, works every time, everywhere. Never had any issues with the EQs. Never been missing any kind of adjustments. The only thing I've changed is the beaters. I'm so used to using Iron Cobra beaters, the felt ones. Ever since I bought my first Iron Cobra, I fell in love with those beaters, and they have no match at all. So that's the first thing I would do. Every time I get or buy a new Axis pedal, I would always switch to those beaters. They feel fantastic, and especially when you play with triggers and you care about the bleed to the microphones. As far as you're concerned, if you want only the trigger sound to go through, these beaters eliminate a lot of potential bleed from the kick drum. You know, they're pretty soft, and they are hard enough to get you this thump, this thud you would require when playing on an acoustic bass drum. Alright, I see there are not too many of us, but doesn't really matter. The video can and is going to be available after the stream is done, so I'm not gonna take it down. No problem. So let's see what we've got. Got a couple of screws here, so which we have to loosen. And this is the part I'm going to switch. So it's like totally new longboard, footboard. Brand new. Yeah. With the hinge. The heel block. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. And of course I got two of these. So let's try with the first one. Let's see how it goes. Those screws have been on for 7 years now. I've never loosened them. So it may be a task to loosen those screws without twisting the Allen wrench or destroying the thread on the screws. So there are a couple of screws up here. They have to be loosened. And in the bottom, there. So the entire footboard and heel block is sitting on just those 4 screws actually. So it looks like a very quick fix. So let's see. Gonna wipe it off quickly from the dust. Like some dust, some drumstick debris that gathers underneath the footboard. The Velcro still looks great, not too much shit on it, so I don't really feel like I have to change the Velcro. But this bites really hard. The Velcro tape bites like hell to any kind of any kind of fabric actually. And if your drums are set up on a blanket, you're gonna have a hard time tearing actually the pedal off of the blanket. So what I usually do is when the pedal is like placed on the blanket, I just like put it sideways first and then lift it. So that you spare yourself some work. Alright, let's see what we've got. We're gonna need Allen wrenches that fit the screws. And as most of us know, and all of us should know as Axis users, Axis they're using a thread locker on nearly every single screw on the pedal. So if you're trying to loosen the screws without loosening the thread locker first, you most probably are going to have trouble. So you either twist the Allen wrench or you like destroy the hole inside of the screw, and then you have to then you have to take it to a machine shop in order to remove the screws. You know, some of us are. I'm not too handy, but still I can manage to do the small reparations like this without destroying anything, but let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna bake the pedal today. I'm just gonna use a lighter. As far as I know, it's around 170 degrees Celsius, the thread rocker loosens. If you don't have any heat source, then what you can do is like use a bit of a plank, like 2x4 or something underneath. Use a punch or any kind of sharp, like a screwdriver or an Allen wrench itself, put it into the hole and knock it with a hammer so the seal breaks, and then you can loosen the screws. But I'm gonna use the heat and see if it works. So here's the new footboard. We're gonna need some screws as well, or maybe we can just reuse the old ones. We'll see how they look, but they look okay. Alright, let's start off with the top screws here first. I'm gonna change the camera angle. Alright, I'm gonna apply some heat underneath here. Like that. So I'm gonna get ready with my Allen wrench first of all. Let me see which one fits. Found it. So I'm gonna keep it like this, ready to go. Right now it's sticking hard as hell. I will not be able to loosen it without... Oh, this one went smooth. Wow. Okay. Come on, just loosen this one. Lucky me. I did not use too much force. So yeah, lucky me. I'm not gonna loosen it all the way. Let's try the other one. It also went. Alright. That was an easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. I'm gonna take off the beer so it's not in the way. Tomasz. Siemasz, Tomasz. The question in the chat is if I'm able to play slower tempos on Axis. Yeah, why not? Playing all different kinds of tempos, different patterns, at all kinds of speeds. So yeah, no problem at all. All right, now the screws are being taken off. Cool. So the pedal looks like this. That was super easy, man. I think the string is gonna be 5 minutes long. But the ones in the bottom, they tend to be, or sit harder. We'll see. I'm gonna just give it a little. Yeah, this is not gonna go so easy. Now, this one has to be heated. So let me use my lighter. Get my Allen wrench ready here. Try not to melt the Velcro, so just direct the pedal in a way so that it wouldn't burn. Maybe like use a smaller flame. I can see it starts to sweat a little. Why not try now? Should work. Oh, see, it's hard. Heat it up a little more. This should work. There we go. Pair of pliers, always handy. Well, this set really well. Which is good. It has never loosened on me in any way. The heel block always felt solid. And the pedal has never failed me in any situation. Really happy about it. How about this one? Nice. There we have it. All 4 screws loosened. Now we can detach footboard from the base plate. Damn, guys, it still looks like new. There is maybe one 1/3 of a millimeter play between the heel block and the footboard itself. Oh, and there's one more thing. If you look closely, there's a hole in the footboard. I've drilled a hole in it. Somebody may ask why. Well, because I'm a crazy guy that is constantly looking for new solutions for different kind of issues and problems. So, the reason behind why I drilled the hole, and I tried to drill it, in a place that is not so visible. So I took one of the upper arms of the X letter. Because I was looking for a solution to minimize the friction when I'm swiveling. So when you put your shoes on top of the footboard and you're starting to swivel, it tends to have overly, the friction tends to be too hard or very hard, so that you can even hear the screeching of your shoe sole against the footboard. I wanted to minimize that, so I put on a screw in between, or the footboard was in between the head of the screw and what should I call it? The nut underneath. So there was a little bit of a bump on top of the footboard so that I could rest my shoe right on top of it and swivel freely without any friction at all. I found out that the swiveling point was a little bit too low. I did not feel like drilling a few more holes, although I could. Now I actually can do that, because it looks like I'm not going to be using the footboards for some time, for a while at least. So I can experiment a little bit more, put some more holes in it and find the perfect sweet spot for swiveling. Yeah, so that's the idea behind the pre-drilled hole. Okay, everything, just inspect everything here. The direct link, switch the camera. The direct link, the DDL, the MTS, trigger itself. Check out the spring for any wear and tear, the hoop clamp, all the hoop stoppers. Yeah, this looks like new actually. There's just like couple of small scratches. I'm gonna give it damn guys, this really looks like new. And this is one of the custom features of the paddle, because it was all black. But the classic black footboards, they tend to fade within time, especially when you're swiveling or playing barefoot or without shoes, but socks, in socks only. All the screws feel like very tight and nice. I like it. It's very snug. Let's just put the footboards on. So this is a standard A longboard footboard made by Axis USA. Super robust, no play at all. So this is gonna go like this. Footboard, mount the back on the toe piece, and the back hinge should fit perfectly on the spot the previous footboard rested on. Right, and in order for everything to hold the way it should, I got my good old Loctite 290. Use it sparingly. It's pretty expensive. but it works. In case there was some rust on the pedal which I cannot see, I always keep WD-40 at my side. Fine. But this looks as new, brand new. If it wasn't for a little bit of dust. Alright. And by the way, you're listening to Hunter's Bloodlet, which is my solo band. Hope you like it. So we do it in reverse order. Heel block first. Just align the footboard nicely. There it is. Just threads the hole. What I'm gonna do now is just put the screws in slightly, not all the way in. Just a couple of turns. The first one. The second one, so that we just grip like that. Now as the footboard is initially on the right spot, I'm gonna drop a minimal amount of the thread locker right onto the threads. Not too much, just a drop or two.
Here we are again, bro. Just you and me.
Just you and me.
Same kind
That
of
was a little bit too much,
jungle. Number 10 night, remember?
but then grab your cloth,
32 men chopped.
wipe off
We walk out just you and me.
the overdose.
Nobody. And on top of.
Like so,
Let's crash to the buckets.
and then you're ready to go. And before you go all the way in, make sure the footboard is nicely aligned with the front part, so the toe piece. Hello DC. No, it's not. It's the good old standard aluminum footboard. I've had it for some time already. I never had the chance or a need to use it. And now we align it with the top so that it's nice, right? The thread locker takes some time to dry out, so you can just mount the front screws on the toe piece. Alright, that's number one. Here comes number two. Right now it's all nicely aligned. Like this. And now we can tighten the screws on the heel block. Then if you want, we want to go all the way, snug. We turn the Allen wrench to the long side out. Give it a nudge. Do not over tighten. There's no need. The thread locker is gonna do the work. And then we do the same on top. So we have put the screws slightly in. They're like above the board, a couple of millimeters. Then we're gonna apply le thread locker. Cloth prevented thread locker. So everything. Yeah. Go up here, go up there. Wipe off the overdose immediately. Like this. And just start tightening. One. I did not go snug at all. But the screw heads are flush with the top of the footboard right now. But I did not use any force tightening. Okay, wipe off the overdose of anything that might have dropped from thread locker bottle. Inspect, check out how it feels, if there is any play. There is no play at all, but still I have to tighten up the screws. So put the Allen wrench sideways inside the hole, all the way in. It's important, and start tightening. Nice and snug. The other one, same way. All right. And right. And the thing I will immediately do in order to compensate the spring tension and the feeling of the pedal itself, is comparing to the shortboard, this amount of tension on the MTS, on the microtuners, in my opinion and in my case and for my taste, will be too much when it comes to longboard. It works like a chump on shortboard, but then with a longer footboard, you don't need as much weight on top of it to go equally fast. Smooth. So what I would do, I would adjust the spring tension down. I would use lesser, lower tension spring. And you can see yourself, it's so loose I can turn it with my fingers on it. But I will do that once I mount the pedals on the drum. You know how the MTS works, right? Comparing to the standard spring assembly, you had a little nut in the bottom, which was pretty hard to get to and adjust on the run. This one is just like your key, drum key on, adjust this way while you're playing. It's incredible how practical this system is. And I've never used it tightened all the way up. The pedal felt way too hard for my taste. Mainly, and first and foremost, because of VDL, the variable drive lever, which I always position in the very bottom, because that would gives me the most direct feeling of the pedal I can imagine. I would really love to sacrifice one of the number one bits, the cams. This one is called number one part. Other companies call it cam. I would really like to sacrifice one of these parts once and drill it longer down so that I can slide the VDL even longer back. That's one of the things I'm very curious about. What would happen if Darren Johnston at Axis Percussion, who is the main inventor and the guy responsible for most of the patents and the construction of the pedal itself. A brilliant mind, awesome guy. I had the chance to talk to him in person. Awesome guy, and much respect for all the inventions you came up with throughout all the years, Darren. You're a fantastic person and a great mind. So that's what I would do. You know, like I like to experiment, and if I don't like something, if I can see some drawbacks of a construction or whatever, I try to find a solution or a way to go around it and make it work better. So for example, right here I have my donor pedal, which is also an X series model. It's super new, it's never been used. So I have some parts on it I could sacrifice and use for testing. It's an older X pedal, which is cool to have. And I bought it as an extension to a left-handed extension. So it's got left-handed bridge and auxiliary head assembly. They're also brand new, never used. I'm gonna tell you why I bought it once. Or maybe I'll just show you when the time comes. But I got a couple of number one pieces laying loose around, never being used. So maybe I'll just try and do some experiments as far as the VDL is concerned. So yeah, this is our main pedal, a switch footboard. Job done. It's just to put the beater on. And by the way, the iron cobra beaters, it has been used a lot, and look at it, almost nowhere. But it's angled perfectly, so it always strikes flush on the drum. Because some people like angle the heads or turn them around so they don't attack flat against the drum head, and then the felt layer in front wears out very unevenly. A question from Thomas: What do I think about Chart Chico Pito Pub? I would rather not comment on it on the live stream. We can talk in private, and I can tell you what I think. But this video is about Axis pedals. Let's do it. But good pedals, though, I have to say. Right, so the job's done again. We put the beater back. And the nice feature of the beater, some people use this bit as a either weight, but I use it as a memory lock, and it keeps the weight down. I don't like having a lot of weight on the beater. I think this weight of this beater head is just perfect for my purpose. And one more thing about, like a general thing about Axis pedal. Let me switch the view. There are many people that are getting impatient with those pedals. There are many people that hate on them. There are many people that think they're badly constructed or too soft or too weak, or that the material quality is poor or whatever. But it's more like a handmade custom item. And it's not everyone that is able or can utilize them. You have to be a very specific person to have a good live playing Axis pedal. It's not for everyone. You cannot well, theoretically you can just take it off, take it out of the box and connect to your bass drum and play straight away and fly. But it does not happen too often. There is so many micro adjustments and things to consider before you even can start playing comfortably. It's not too many adjustments though, because the most of the things happen at the axle here, where the spring mount sits on the very axle on the side here. But there are those micro things that play the great role of making this pedal the best in the world, that no other pedal can imitate or get close to. And it's so much to talk about, you know, like the micro adjustments. I mean, like, look at the beater here, how it's angled. I'll try to show it to you the way I look at it, but how it is angled. Yeah, if you turn the beater a little bit to the side, like it's not super straight with the footboard, then you're gonna have a discomfort. If the head doesn't strike flush on the drum head, you're gonna have a discomfort. It's not gonna feel right. If the length of the beater, sorry. If the length of the beater is too long, if the beater is too far out or too low, like it doesn't strike the center of a bass drum, it's gonna feel weird. And then you have to compensate the weight of the beater with the spring tension, which you adjust in this case with the screw I showed you before on the NTS, on the micro tuner. Next topic is the trigger. If your trigger is not calibrated properly, you're gonna get double triggering, you're gonna miss some strokes. If your bass drum is not angled properly, you know, like you can always expand or shorten the feet on the bass drum, and that changes the angle of the whole drum. If it's not adjusted properly, you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to calibrate those and getting the same feeling as you're used to when you're rehearsing at your space or playing at home. Believe me, on the recent tour with Dormant Ordeal, we played 9 gigs and I used 9 different setups, 9 different bass drums. So usually for me it's the bass drum. That's the absolutely most important component of the drum set. If I do not feel that my pedals cooperate and transfer what's happening here into the bass drum, then I have a discomfort playing. And yeah, usually I have to take some time adjusting the kick drum so that it works with my pedals, because I never change my pedal settings. I have to adjust the bass drum itself, whether it's the tightness of the drum head or the angle, or how far the pedal slides into the hoop, because it differs from manufacturer to manufacturer. I know that whenever I'm playing a newer generation of Mapex drums, which I love, and shout out to Mapex Polska for the endorsement and the great Saturn kit I'm utilizing on my recent videos. If I'm lucky enough to have a chance to play on newer generation Mapex, then I just slide the pedal right in, adjust the height of the foot in the front of the kick drums, and I'm ready to go. Another super important thing, whenever the adjustment of the pedal is concerned, the striking point. Your cam, your number one piece, should never go beyond 90 degrees. If you're pushing the beater against the head more than 90 degrees, you're gonna lose the momentum. And it applies to the 90 degrees cams, like a standard A series cams, standard X series cams. It's not too important on the X though, because the X series feel like an excavator. You can dig it, you can go far forward with it. But on the X, especially on those super precise VDL all the way down, super sensitive settings, you should not go over 90 degrees. This is it. And the surface of the trigger helps you find the angle, because it's also angled at 90. So whenever you're hitting the head, these two surfaces, this one and that one, should be parallel on the strike. If it goes beyond that point, you're losing momentum and you're gonna get some missed triggers. Then you have to adjust the trigger. Another thing, as far as adjustment is concerned, it's good to keep your Ikit mallets not all the way tight, because sometimes when you're mounting your pedal on the hoop and you have a bad time, you have a very short time for changeover between the gigs, and you just want to put your pedal in and start playing. So you just put your pedal onto the hoop, right? And then on the strike, the beer goes beyond the 90 degrees angle. The Ikit is gonna get strained. It's gonna hit, most probably multiple times, before it stops. And if it's tightened all the way in, there's a risk of breaking the mallet, which we hate. That's the nightmare for us, to break this little tiny mallet, micro wire thing that can snap at any time, it seems like. So first of all, I'm using isolation tape on this little wire spring mallet holder, because I noticed that sometimes it made this kind of springy sound without the tape. I put on the tape and this irritating sound disappears, and it strengthens the construction, makes it more durable and flexible at the same time, so it holds the piece together in a nice way and isolates from vibrating, overly vibrating. So I keep those loose a little bit so that I can adjust them on the go. See? I didn't use the key, and now the Ikit mallet is positioned all the way up, so it will not trigger when I'm playing. But when I need it to trigger, I just press it downwards, like that, and calibrate it. But the calibration process is done on the drum itself. I can also calibrate it without connecting the pedal to the drum at all, because I can see the angles. If there is a parallel line between the number one piece and the top, the number one piece here and the top of the detonator, like this, kick it, mallet should strike at the same time. So that's just a practical thing. I had my Ikit mallet broken once, and it wasn't me who did that. There was a guy that wanted to help up with the changeover. I didn't know that you have to be super careful taking off the pedals, disconnecting them off from. Sorry, pardon my bad English, but that's the way it is. And he just snapped the head of the ticket. But you always should have at least one spare on you, at least one. Be very careful in transport, so extra precaution there. And here it is, the difference between two pedals. There's my new AL custom black with silver footboard, and my old custom black X for silver shortboard. Let me feel the difference when it comes to the spring tension. I can feel that this one could loosen a little bit in order to make it snap the same way. So the shorter footboard needs more tension, the longer footboard requires less tension. Right. I can see that there are not too many of you watching at the moment, so I cannot really count on any questions, but that's the main thing I wanted to focus on today, switching the footboard. So if there is anything else you may wonder about what and how to do on your Axis pedals, just write a comment under the video and I'll try and get back to it next time. And also, yeah, I'm not gonna change the other footboard on the live stream. We did one of them, so it's a nonsense doing the same thing twice and wasting your time. But I'm gonna do it right after the stream is over. Alright. So that's it. That went smooth. That went much smoother than I thought. I can just take out the new footboard, prepare it for further transplantation. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun to use the pedals I've always used as shortboards, utilize them as longboards now. Get back the feeling. The 3 last streams I've been putting out, 3 days in a row, I've been using those shortboards. And I struggled a little bit to go super fast with single strokes. We'll see how the balance will change. Because this is gonna be a fucking killer swivel machine, I know. And I feel I have to go up to about 250 BPM swiveling soon, because I want to. Then this conversion will help me achieve that. I can go pretty fast with the shortboards as well, but then I have to utilize different techniques. And both shortboards and longboards work with all kinds of techniques. Heel toe, heel down, heel up. Although the shortboard is tighter and it's kind of stiffer. Shorter action, quicker action. That's why I chose the shortboard over the longboard. But once I get back my other longboard pairs, I think I'm gonna switch to shortboards on the other pair, just to have the two at hand at any time, so that I can so that I can switch and get different feelings depending on what I need. Alright, this was super easy. Easy peasy. And since there are no extra questions, I can elaborate just for a second on if it's possible to play slow tempos on Axis pedals. Of course it is. But it's about your foot dexterity and precision. I think I can put out another stream showing strictly showing or concentrating on the foot techniques, how you place your feet on the footboards depending on tempos, and go with the click from the slowest to the fastest, so that you can see what it looks like, because it's like tapping, it's like dancing on the footboard. It's not about using the same weight and strength all the way throughout different tempos. We discussed it a little bit in the first stream from 3 days ago, so go back and check it out if you feel like. But for now, I think we're done. There are no questions coming. If there are any suggestions about future maintenance and reparation videos on Axis pedals, pop a comment underneath. Thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and see you in the next one.